All right, so I'm going to start off with, if you have a lot of questions, I'll do my best to answer them. But if you work at Lego Game, or Epic, will you raise your hand really quick? I'm outing you. Cool. So these are all experts you can ask questions to as well. So they'll be like at our tables and around the jam, and a lot of the people in the crowd worked on a lot of the tools that we'll showcase. So they'll know a lot of really cool, like in-depth, nitty-gritty stuff as well. So I wanted to make sure to call attention to them because they are super awesome. So yeah, I thought we would just talk about what Lego Islands are in UEFN, and then maybe do a little bit of a live tech demo and see if I can embarrass myself. So my name's Thomas Winkley. I'm a lead creator advocate at the Lego Group, specifically in Lego Game. I moved here from the US 5 months ago to join the Lego Group. And I like to tell people to make video games. So make video games. What we want to do today is talk about a few things. We're going to loosely define like what a Lego Island is. We'll talk about creating a template and how we think about templating and what templates allow you to do. We'll talk about a quest system because questing is really fun. And then we'll leave time for Q&A, question and answers, that type of thing. So first of all, I thought I'd give you some context. And this is kind of what we first showed when Lego Islands launched. And I just realized I'm not sending audio to HDMI. So just imagine some really cool upbeat music playing right now. There's a lot of bass in it. It's kind of bouncing. But what you can see here is the ability to create really fun immersive worlds using Lego assets. The goo gun is awesome. Yeah. Cool. So I wanted to show you all that because there's a really key word in there, and it's publish. So this gives you the ability to create something, test it, and publish it, and have players play it very quickly, which is really, really exciting and something that I find to be fun and interesting. Now let's see if I can go to the next slide without breaking everything. Give me 1 sec while this panics at me for a second. Okay, it's going to do that, and then I'm going to minimize this, and then it's going to put everything back this way. All right, close enough. So let's talk about what the Lego Island Creator Program is. Why would you do this to me, demo, right here live? Well, we'll do our best. So we'll talk about what the Island Creator Program is and kind of how it functions. So first things first, it allows you to create. So you can create Fortnite islands with Lego elements, devices, characters. We'll talk a little bit more about what devices are here in a second. It gives you access, so you get immediate access to an active community and can immediately gain players, right? It takes a lot of that stuff out of, hey, I need to build a community, market, do all that work. You should still, of course, market your products. But as you build it and send it out, there's already active available players to jump in and engage with your experiences right away and help you start testing and getting feedback, which is really cool. And you have a really, really great community on Discord to network and share. And I want to specifically call that out because we do have a really awesome active Discord community that a lot of those people that just raised their hands from the Lego Games team, and myself included, hang out in. So if you have questions about how can I use this IP correctly, how do I build these awesome things, how does this device work, we're there to try to help you and guide you and make that journey more interesting and fun. So there's a couple things you got to do. You do have to have been active in Fortnite for 30 days. You do need to be 18 or older so that you can sign an IP agreement and make money. And you need to sign the Lego IP agreement. So I do want to call those things out, or things that you got to do to get involved in it. And you can find all those guidelines online when you go to sign up. Cool. So that is the really fast pitch of kind of generally what we're talking about here and what it is. And now I want to talk to you about the latest thing we just released that I'm super excited about. It's the Lego Action Adventure template. So to understand that, first I'm going to change my HDMI to do the thing I want it to do correctly so you can hear the music, because it's really good. It won't let me. Okay, you're gonna have to imagine really cool music, y'all. Here we go. But know that we like the music in this trailer too. It's so epic. Okay, next. So, saw a lot of words there, but I want to specifically talk about templates. So island templates help you get started with like a specific design premise or idea, and you can either take the template, launch it, and start working directly in that template, or you can use it for ideation or ideas and actually just take things out of the template and repurpose them for whatever you would like to do. So if you have an idea for maybe a really cool story that involves some questing and you would actually like to have a warrior class, this template has a warrior class we've already set up using existing Fortnite devices that you can then basically step in with and copy paste, change some of the features, change some of the functionality, and now you have that functioning system available and ready for you, which is really exciting. Or if you just want general inspiration to see how we're building and plugging things in together, you can also look at that and then take it and apply it inside of your tool. So this is what it looks like when you launch into it. You have the Lego Island section, and these are all of the templates available to you right now. So we've got Scary Space, Santa's Toy Factory, the Lego Action Adventure template, which is really, really neat as well. We have the Grid Island, which gives you this nice Lego creativity feel with a cool material. Home Builder, the Starter, the Obby, and the Obstacle Course as well. And there's all kind of different types of gameplay that we found to be really exciting and interesting inside of the ecosystem. So Santa's Toy Factory is really built around the idea of like a tycoon game. So you're actually going in, building toys, they get thrown into a sleigh and shipped off to the children. You make money, you buy more machines, and it's also persistent. So we really wanted to tell in our show that you can create persistent games that your players will come back to. And so we actually worked on this demo to make sure that you had offline and online persistence so your players could play, leave, come back, and their status would all be saved and all work, and they could continue to engage with the game over and over time. So these are what you're seeing there. So let's talk about now the approach we took when we wanted to design the action adventure template. This is our key creative brief right here. This is like the sentence we ran with: learn to make a classic Lego game. So when I think of classic Lego games, right, I think of running around, breaking stuff, picking up studs, playing with really unique, fun, interesting characters, going on quests and journeys. And that's what we wanted to hand over to creators to then create and inspire with. And so we jumped into designing the template. So the first thing I wanted to do, since this is a game jam, is talk to some of our internal designers and ask them what they do, like what their process is, to hopefully give you some inspiration. So first of all, we have prototyping, right? We prototype ideas early in a test project, only using devices, not writing any verse code. What a device is a pre-configured functional object that you can use to do things. So as an example, if you want to spawn a Lego minifigure into your game, there's an NPC spawner, and that is a device. And so you drop that device in, and now you have access to a select list of Lego minifigures that can now become characters in your game that you can then utilize. Or if you want to do something with, say, a class, there's a class designer device that allows you to design and set parameters and things like that. Next, we go to the creative mode where we try to hone in on only 2 to 3 core gameplay loops. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that all these tips come from Jonna. She is an incredibly talented designer, and her thing was 2 to 3 core gameplay loops that we can really refine and really think strongly about so that we're not overstressing ourselves and pushing ourselves too far. From there, we try to isolate the environment. So all the ideas that she's testing are tested in a clean environment before we bring anything into the main project. So test it, test it, test it. If it works the way you want it, bring it into the main project, and then take it from there and start testing it with your other systems. And then the other thing we really focus on doing is if you want like a really complex feature, make sure to limit how you use it so that you're not adding scope creep into what you're building, right? So you go for a really complex thing, think about how it's going to work within your systems and how it's going to play. And if you can't make it work early in prototyping, maybe that shouldn't be a focus of what you're building, because that could derail you down the road. So these were kind of the 4 core concepts that she really took into when building this template. And from there, we came up with this creative brief. So this is the creative brief that we set up, that we used internally while we were building this. So there it is, learn how to make a classic Lego game. That's the sentence. And notable new features we wanted to put in is the assembly device, collectible studs, and the Lego Quest module. Those are the big 3 things that we wanted to take part in. So this beautiful GIF you see right here is actually there's the quests popping through, and there's the studs spawning. So we set up stud spawning rules as well. These are what the collectible stud devices look like in the editor. And these are all of the teaching pods that we also include inside of the template. So one thing we like to do with templates as well is provide inspiration. We also break down all of the systems and put them into these nice vignettes so you can see how each of the systems were all attached together and learn from those. Or if you want that exact system, you can just copy paste it and use it. So this is what the action adventure template looks like level by level. And I like to show this off because this is the main area, this is the thief level, this is the blaster level, and then this is the warrior level. So each of the classes actually have their own level you can play through to see how the gameplay works and it flows. So you're also getting that built in contextually as you build it. And I jumped ahead of myself in my presentation and I already told you what devices are. So we did it, we're good. This is what a default device looks like. By the way, if you make a custom verse device, this is kind of the default skin and how we have it set up. But these are, again, really important part of the creative tool set. They want you to have those specific interactive experiences for your players, and you can customize and combine them with other devices to make functionality happen and build different game mechanics. Okay, so one of these custom verse devices that we released that we're gonna demo here, let me just look at my time really fast, okay, we're doing great, is the quest system. So we wanted to build a quest system, right? You want to send people on journeys, they want to go through things, and they want to have a reason to play your game and engage. And so we started that off by going, well, what is a quest? It's a silly question, but it's an important question to ask when you're designing a system, right? Because as you learn, as you talk to people, when I say quest, people's contexts and ideas can completely change, right? For me, when it's a Saturday morning and I'm really tired, a quest for me is like getting out of bed and walking outside for 2 minutes. That is a quest. That's actually an epic quest. But you know, if I've had a good day, that might be a small quest. So really we broke that down into a quest is a sequence of actions that guides progression towards a goal. It helps you develop a narrative, it provides direction, and it gives purpose beyond just simple mechanics. Those are the 3 things that we decided. This is what our quests are. This is what quests do. So here it is. We have our story, we have our objective, and then we have our reward. So these are the 3 basic mechanics of our quest. There's a reason they're doing the quest, and we probably need to tell them that reason, which means there's going to be some dialogue. There's going to need to be a quest giver, a person that tells us what the quest is. Then there's going to need to be an objective, and we probably want to guide them to that objective or tell them where to go. And then we want to reward them when they complete it, right? Everybody likes rewards. I like to get my cookie at the end of the day. Everybody wants something for doing good stuff, and the reward system is what we use to build that. We also wanted them to be flexible so that you could take your definition of a quest and apply it in different ways or use the system in different ways as well. We call it a quest system. You could also build an in-game tutorial with it. It could be your tutorial system that guides people through how to play your experience, right? Is it a quest? Probably. Could also be a tutorial. We want it to be as simple as possible because, again, we want you to be able to spend time designing, building, and going quickly. And those are the things. So I guess now we can make a quest if that's okay. And we're going to see if I can do this live. Thank you for being a part of my first live presentation for the LEGO group. I'm really excited. This is going to be cool. So if I make a mistake, just whisper it's his first day. Okay. I am going to change my display settings for this because there's no way I can develop with my head turned around like this. That would be very stressful. Why did you do this to me, Microsoft? Come on. There we go. Haha. Okay. So we are inside of Unreal Editor Fortnite, or UEFN, set up inside of our LEGO world. And the first thing we want to look at is what we've already built. So let's go here, keep playing. So this is just a little gameplay vignette I kind of set up to show off the assembly device. So as you walk forward, you have this beautiful arch that came out in February. This is from our spring gallery. I should also mention we release a lot of galleries. So these are LEGO elements and pieces that you can use to build your worlds and create stuff. So we assemble this, and now a portal appears. And we can get to the portal, grab a sword, and we need the sword because we're trying to go grocery shopping inside this beautiful market, but there's baddies in here preventing us from getting our groceries. And that's very problematic. I would like a baddie-free grocery experience. So we go in, we fight. Please don't judge me how bad I am at fighting. But now we have a way to fight. But if you weren't the one designing this game, you would just appear standing in the middle of this world in front of this blue glowing arch, and you wouldn't really know what you're supposed to do, right? So at that point, you're exploring, trying to figure things out. So we can use the quest system to add some exciting narrative or a reason to go on this adventure. So if we jump back into UEFN, we'll just kind of move around here. I think I put 2 player spawners accidentally, so I'm going to delete that. Cool. All right, so this is our arch and our gateway. Let's first start by adding a quest. So if we pull open our project here, we have our Lego quests folder, and we have this Lego quest giver device that we can just simply drag into the project. And we'll rotate it just so you can see the computer console here. And let's move this here so we have a little more access. So here is our first device, and then inside the details tab, we have things that we can change. So first things first, I'm going to turn off visible in game. We don't need to see the quest giver device, right? We just need it to be instantiated and function. And now we have a few fields we could fill in. So first things, under the Lego Quest device info, we have a quest giver name. I am going to do what they wanted from the live stream, so we're going to name this person, we're going to name them Questy Bricks. I don't know why I like that name so much, but it's really fun. So our quest giver is now named Questy Bricks. Now there's a couple things we need to utilize to make this work. You'll notice there's a button interact, and then we have some quest finish guidance. So the way we're interacting with these NPCs is we're actually interacting with a button that we're going to hide behind the NPC. And that's kind of the trick we're using. And if you hide it behind their butt, it's really a butt. No? Okay. So we'll go to our Fortnite, we'll go to devices, and I'm just going to search for a button. Ta-da! And let's scoot it up just a little bit. And so that the button is facing forward, we'll just rotate it to 180. Okay, so we now have our button device. And if we jump back to our quest, we can actually just assign it right here. So I'll click the drop down, and since there's only one button in the scene, I can just select it, and now this button exists. So right now, we have a button that'll do some things, but we don't have anybody to talk to, so we probably want a character in the world. So let's get an NPC. So jumping back in here, we can hit the Fortnite folder and go to devices. And here we have the NPC spawner inside beta. So we'll just drag this in. And you can see there's already a little Lego minifigure hologram right there you can see. And let's just drag it kind of here. Ooh, it's moving a little too fast. That's actually a pretty good place to hide the button, I think. I think it'll be good right there. Perfect. So now that we have our NPC, there's a couple of things that we want to do with this fellow. And we have a couple fields here. So we have an NPC spawner set up here, and we have these character definitions inside the user options. So now we need to tell this character what to do, give it a behavior. And we've actually provided a custom quest giver behavior for you so that you can just drop it in, and the quest giver will stand there and offer you advice. So let's get that set up. So we'll just do this drop down really fast here. And we have this NPC behavior quest giver that we've provided. And then we can add a character definition. So the character definition tells us what this NPC is. And I do have a couple different ones in here, but I actually have a pre-created quest giver we can take a look at. And if we double click into here, there's a few things we can see. So we have the behavior set to a verse behavior. I should say verse is the language, the scripting language used inside of Unreal Editor for Fortnite. And so if you want to do custom coding stuff, you write it in verse. So we have a behavior that we've defined through code for you. And then basically using this, we can also change what our AI is. And so we're using Banana Adventure because that's our friend Peely. So we'll save that. And now, when this goes, we should actually have a character. I'm gonna move that button just a little bit more. Perfect. And something happening with Peely. And now we're gonna push the changes and launch it while this boots up. So just give us a second. This is gonna push everything, do the test. I see Aiden smiling at me as I take this, as I do this live, thumbs up in me. But yeah, we'll take care of this and do it live. Does anybody have any questions while we're doing this? Go for it, yeah.
I have one potentially for the, what's it called, Banana Adventure AI. Is that related to like the speech and body language of the NPC giver, or what does the AI part encompass?
Yeah, great question. For the recording, the question is, with the NPC, what does the behavior do? So the behavior defines its behavior. It's a terrible way to explain that. So yes, is it a guard? Is it walking around seeing somebody on the opposing team and actually engaging them? Is it just standing there waiting to be talked to? Those types of things. So it is defining what it actually does. So it's not handling like navigation or anything like that. It's really handling like, what is this character doing? If that makes sense. Does that answer your question okay? Yep. Cool. Let's see how we're doing over here. Oh, don't slide down, mouse. All right, well, we're going to look at the floor for a minute. While this loads up. While we're waiting as well, I think it's worth noting, talking more about galleries, right? So we have the Spring Gallery. We also have the Brick Builder Gallery. So you see this beautiful material is one of the things we first launched this year. And the cool thing about it is we launched it because we wanted your grounds to have a Lego-like feel in the world and also give you guidance when you're building and moving things. You can also make really nice material variants here. So you could change the color layout of this as well to make your world vibrant, exciting through material variants, things like that. Just wait for this beautiful thing. Yes?
Just like the normal iteration time when you do changes.
So when you're pushing it in, you are pushing it live. We're also doing this live on a Wi-Fi I've never worked on before. So, but iteration time can vary in parts of this, but because you are pushing everything live, there is a little bit of pushed up, wait, test, yeah. And the nice thing about this is normally when you're doing a lot of changes, if you're moving small devices and things, you're not having to push constantly. In this case, because we are using custom burst behaviors, it's going to have us push a little bit more often than usual. So, okay, so we're here. We'll wait for it to load in. We have our button right here, and there's our friend Questy Bricks. So using that, we can hit E, but nothing's happening because we haven't told it what to do when we interact with the quest system, right? So Questy Bricks is just standing there, staring at me, waiting to give me a quest. Cool. So first steps, looking okay, feeling good. Let's jump into the next part then. We probably want Questy Bricks to talk to us and tell us things. So we'll go back to our quest device, and we have this list of tracker devices. So we're actually using tracker devices from Fortnite to track the status of the quest. And trackers are nice because you can track like number of players defeated, you can track events, so we can kind of set those out. So we'll jump in here, and we'll search for trackers. Hold on, I'm in the wrong folder. Boop. Searching is really good unless you search in the wrong folder, in which case it won't find what you're looking for. So we'll just drag a tracker device in here, and I'm going to make a clone of it as well. And this tracker, we're going to name it quest, let's just do tracker underscore quest return. And then let's grab this tracker. We'll call this tracker underscore sword quest. Still going pretty good. Okay. So now that we have our tracker, we can set a few things up. So the stat we're going to track is going to be events. So we can basically increment the tracker on events. And the target value, we're just going to set to 1. So there's one step in our quest. We complete the one thing, the tracker will complete and send the data back. And then I'll explain why I'm changing this now, but I'm actually going to turn off assign on game start and assign when joining. And the reason, I'll explain why I'm doing that now, is the tracker has UI associated with it that tells you what the quest is. And so if we assign on game start, when we jump in, basically that UI will be present the whole time, even if we've not been assigned the quest, and that would be confusing. So we'll disable that for now. And then for our other tracker, we'll actually set it very the same. So we'll just go to events, target value there, and we can turn off the assignments. So now that we have our two trackers, you're going to be blown away by what's next, but our quest finish guidance, we're going to set the quest return here and set that. And now we can start configuring our full quest. So we have this array here of quests that are defined out, so I'll add to the array. And we have a Lego quest, and the first thing we need to do is our unique quest name, so we'll say get the sword. And something I want to call out, but we actually are going to utilize in a second, is we have these event bindings set up as well. So using your quest, you may want to make things happen when they accept the quest, when they abort the quest, or when they complete the quest, right? Maybe you want to have new items appear in the world. Maybe you want to have some studs appear to guide them to the next quest giver. You can have all those tied into the quest here, and then you can actually link them in the quest chain to have those events fire off and connect everything. So from here, we have a quest tracker device, and this is our actual sword quest tracker we want to reference. And we have the reward, which we'll talk about here in a second. Hopefully I get to the reward part if I have time. So now we have our display text, the stuff that's actually talking about the quest. So again, we just fill it out. So description, you need a sword to go shopping. That would actually be kind of an interesting world if we all had to take swords with us to go shopping. And like you get to the grocery store and they make you leave your sword at the door. That'd be fun. All right, so dialogue text start is what this one says, I believe. Let me just scale that out a little bit for you. And the dialogue text is, there are baddies in the market. We need to go shopping. Get a sword. And then when we complete it, you have a sword. Go get a snack. Perfect. Quest is set. Tracker's set. This is ready. So we've kind of done the first start of things, right? We have our quest defined, we have it talking. The next thing we want to actually do is we need to make the quest increment when something happens. So we need to tie some things together. And when we did the opening part, you saw that we went to this item spawner to actually pick up our sword, right? And so this item spawner, its job is its name. Its job is to spawn items that we can collect. And so now when we collect the items, events happen. So we can use those events to then plug into other things. So we'll go here. And I have run over pickup selected, so we don't actually have to interact with it. We'll just run over it. But if we scroll down to user options, let's see, we have an on item picked up event right here. So we need to have something subscribed to that so that it connects. So what we can do now is go to our tracker. Let's see, this is the sword quest tracker. And we can tell it to increment progress when something happens. So again, I only have one item spawner, so I can use a search. We'll go there. So we're saying, okay, when the item spawner on item picked up event fires, increment my progress, right? It'll move it forward by 1. I would also highly recommend make sure your amount to change on increment is set to something appropriate, in this case, 1. And this is set up here. Now, the other thing that we do want to use is the quest event system now, because we want to assign the UI to the player so they can see the quest tracked, right? And to do that, we need to use a trigger. And we don't need this trigger to do anything but exist and activate. So I'll just drag it in somewhere. And I'll turn off visible in game again. And then you'll see that, again, in the events, there's an on-triggered event. So we can use that, we can access that event to pull this in. So on the quest, we have our event bindings, Lego quests. And we have triggers we can choose. So we have an on-started quest, and we'll just set it to this trigger device here. So now, basically, when this trigger activate, when we start the quest, it's going to send the signal to the trigger, say, hey, I triggered, do something, right? And then we can take this and plug it into our trackers. Dun, 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 dun. Let's see, tracker, sword quest, assign, and we'll search for our trigger, on triggered. So when the trigger goes off, it's going to assign this to the triggering body. And you're actually passing, I believe, the agent through the whole way. So we know what has triggered it, and it's just going to say, assign me to this now. All right, always Control S to save. Just like playing any long RPG, find a save point as much as possible. That's the rule. So let's see what we've done. We've got a quest, we've got our item spawner, we have the incrementing happening, and we have the assigning happening. I think we have a full quest loop. I'm gonna push code, and we're gonna see what happens. This is the scariest part of any live talk. Did the steps I just walked you through actually make the changes I think they did? Happy to take questions while we wait. Yes, Andy.
If you say set it all up and you're missing something, so there's kind of like an error popped up or it's missing a thing, does it then pop back and have like an output log or a console log or kind of?
Not generally. So you're working. I'm looking at you, Aiden, because I'm trying to think of the best way to answer this. So you're coding in a failure-safe context, I think is the way to say this. And so you're actually coding defensively to handle issues. So if something's not hooked up, you're not getting a no reference error or something like that you would expect. It's going to see that it can't happen, and if you don't have your code ready to handle it, it's going to be, I can't do this, I'm gonna go to the next thing, is what it's gonna look to do. But But of course, you can work with and set up those systems to help you debug and do that. And I would highly recommend checking with these brilliant people right in the middle here and right there, because they're developing in this all the time, setting those things up. So, yeah, other questions? Yay.
You know, it's actually related to that because you might want to set up some test framework, right? So you know that everything you want to fit in the script. And you have that built in? Or?
I actually don't know the answer to that question. My recommendation is after the talk, let's grab some of these folks and we can check into that, because I'm not 100% sure. Yep.
What was the question?
Oh, yeah, the question was, is there like a testing framework built into it already? Yep. Thank you for catching that.
Can I ask another question?
Yeah, of course.
What happens to all the stuff that you disable? Does it have any memory footprint at all in the build? Or is that just like
When you say disable, you mean so it doesn't show it during gameplay?
yeah, like the what's it called, the panel of that?
Ah, yeah, yeah. So it does, the device is still there and being used, so it's my understanding that it still does have a little bit of a memory footprint because you're allocating memory to have the device running, right? So even though I disabled it visually, the code is still running, right? So I'm still using it and allocating the space to have that device there running, doing things. So even though you can't see it at runtime, it's still there. Yeah. And as you see right up here, you have a current memory usage right up there.
What, sir?
So on the top middle bar, you see there's a current memory usage.
Yeah.
So that's actually telling you what your memory usage is for the island right now that you're working with. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, cool. So we're here. We'll wait for our friend Questy Bricks to show up. We'll chat with them. Y'all, there's baddies in the market. Can't have it. We'll accept it. We get our quest. The AI pops up. You need a sword to go shopping, right? That's the law of this island. Swords for shopping. So we're going to assemble our device, get a portal, warp through, grab a sword, return to Questy Bricks. So if we head back down, I have a sword, go get a snack. Boom. So we finished the quest loop, and now Questy Bricks is like, well, I don't have anything else for you. I'm just a sword guy. That's what I do. I was trained as a swordsman. I've done my work. And then we can go in and fight the baddies to get our hot dog off the grill. I don't have this set up as a collectible, but that would be my dream, is to get the hot dog off the grill, I think. Okay. So we've actually finished the main part of the quest. This is kind of a generic example that I wanted to set up of like one thing you can do. This can be as granular and as deep as you would like it to be. So when you look at the quest system, if we look down in quests here, you'll notice this is an array. So we can add multiple quests. So it could be more granular, right? Like as an example, if they don't know that the blue hologram on the arch means you can assemble it, they may not know to go assemble it to make the portal happen, right? So that could be part one of the quest. And when it assembles, the assembly device has a nice event called onAssembled. You can then send that back, it'll complete, go to the next quest. Okay, you built the arch, now go get a sword, right? So you could build this in more detailed, should you want. There's also the idea in these quest definitions, so there's a Lego quest, and there is a Lego repeatable quest as well. And so the repeatable quest is a quest that they can just do over and over and over again. So you could have one that's like, go get a hot dog from the shop, and every time they do it, they get 10 studs as a reward, and maybe that's like a repeating quest that allows them to get infinite hot dog money. Totally doable, totally worthwhile that you can do. Okay, the last thing we want to do, let me check my time, oh, we're doing great, is talk about rewarding players. So now we want to give them the reward for the quest, right? And so this is where the stud spawning comes into play. And so we wanted to use a form of pooling to make it nice and easy, and also we wanted to give you the ability to give Lego studs as a reward, right? I think at least I did. I grew up collecting Lego studs in video games. It's a really fun mechanic. People really enjoy it. We wanted to do that. And so now let's let them do it. So to build this, we're going to add one more item spawner. Did I search? And we'll drag that in. And we're going to do, this is something I really like to do for efficiency. If I'm using a device a whole bunch, and I need a whole bunch of devices, I like to configure the device one time and then start copy pasting, right? Because then the configuration copies with it, and then I don't have to go set up 10 devices the same way. There's probably people in the audience that have done dev a long time, are like, yes, Tom, that's efficiency. But I like to say it out loud because sometimes I don't do that, and then I'm really mad at myself. So we get our item, and with the item spawner, there's always one thing. We'll do run over pickup, turn that on, so when we run over the item that spawned, we can just pick it up. I'm going to disable a few things. So we're actually going to tell items not to respawn because we're actually going to use the reward event to have the item spawn. And I'm going to turn off spawn item on a timer and respawn on a timer because we don't need to do that. There's always one that I have trouble finding, but I know it's here. Where are you, base visible during gameplay? I know you're here somewhere. All right, we'll do the item list and then I'll find it, I'm sure. So we'll click plus here to add an item to the list. So this is the list of items that can spawn from our item spawner. And if I click the drop down and search for stud, we get the legendary gold stud. Okay, so that's ready. It's the only thing spawning, so we're good there. Just check everything right there. What? It's higher up, it's higher up. Okay, where? Up more? More ups, more ups, more ups, more ups, more ups. Aha! Boom, base visible during game. So basically what that means is this nice little base down here that's under the stud won't show up during game. Because if we spawn it, we're basically going to reach into a pool of these studs and spawn them and like just grab them and set their location and activate them, right? And it would be really strange if this giant base went flying at our player. Unless you want that to be a game mechanic, in which case do it. It could be fun. Okay, so we've got this set up. There's one more thing we need to do. So we need to add a tag to this, and we're going to use a verse markup tag. And what this basically does is lets us search for it and find it, and it gives it a specific tag. And we've provided these tags for you. Again, you can also write your own. But if we go here, we have our Lego module tags. And specifically, this is the item spawner toss tag. And the one gotcha here is there's toss and there's gravity. And these are the behaviors of the item that spawned. And your tag needs to match up to the behavior of the item that spawned. And my understanding is the logic behind this is because you may want to have items that use the gravity, and you may want to have items that use the toss where the studs go flying out. And so you can have a pool of each that you can access depending on how you'd like to utilize that. So we gave you both. So I just add this right here. I save. And now my studs are ready. And I can do my favorite part. I'm just going to Control D this like 10 times. Boom. We have a pool of studs. So the reason I made 10 is because when we go to our quest, we have this reward section, and you'll see there's an amount and a spawn type. So this is really important because the amount is the number of item spawners we're going to need to make this happen. So if my reward is 5, that means I need 5 available item spawners instantly, right? So the nice thing about this is, like for the memory side of things, if you are never spawning more than 20 studs at a time, you only need 20 stud spawners. Because basically the pool will grab the 20 stud spawners, move them to the location, throw studs into the sky victoriously, deactivate, and then when it happens again, they'll use the same stud spawners again. So we're going to make this reward 10, because if I remember right, I pushed Command D or Control D 12 times or 10 times. And then we have our spawn type toss. So we chose the toss tag. Our spawn type needs to be toss, but then also we need to make sure that these friendly friends here are set to toss as well, and they're actually all set to gravity. So I broke my number 1 rule while demoing live. So we're going to set them all to toss. Okay. Now we have the devices, we have the spawners. Now we just need a stud pool. So we need a stud pool device, and then we should be good to go. 11? 11 will be okay. We'll have an extra one. Now, you know what? You're right. We better. Okay, cool. Let's come into content drawer again. And we're going to use one more piece. So we have our Lego module stud rewards folder. And inside here, we have the Lego stud pool. So we're just going to drag this device into the scene or the level here. Take a look at this. And all we need to do is say, you're not visible in game. And then we need to add a verse tag to it. So we'll click here and go to verse tag markup. And this is just going to simply be the Lego stud pool tag so that our system knows, hey, this is where my stud pool lives. This is going to tell me where all my studs live. And the circle is complete. Okay. I think I've said this is the moment of truth twice. This will be my final time saying it. But we hit push changes because we're using some custom verse stuff. And we'll let it do its thing. Ooh. Questions, comments, concerns? Yes?
I actually had a question before we
Yep.
got to this part of the stuff, and it was exactly about the spawners. But it seemed kind of answered the question through your
Okay.
tutorial, like the ways, whether every sort of coin needed an individual spawner, But you also mentioned that once they've done their job, they kind of got away again because it seems quite heavy to have a spawner for every coin. Imagine you have like a course of coins you have to run, like other popular games. But yeah, do every coin need or every object need an individual spawner?
So it's actually up to you. It's dependent on how you set up the system. So there is a Lego collectible device that actually is built to just spawn studs in place. And so say you have a path of 30, you could have 30 of those devices in a row, right, to guide them. Each one of those would be its own device. But you could then set up a system to, once they've collected them and maybe it's a path and they complete the quest, you could take those same ones, grab them and reroute them to the next part of the path. You would need to code that yourself though. We don't have that available in the systems right now. But for the stud pool spawning part, that was part of the logic behind it was, hey, why don't we make sure that we can use this as efficiently as possible? So if they want to reward 100 studs, they only need 100, or 10, they only need 10. But I guess the answer is, depends on how you use them. But if you simply wanted to just have paths of studs and you didn't write any systems to manage it, you would need a collectible device set up for each stud. Yeah, of course.
Now we connected to the quest completion. Would you be able to assign it like a component to killing a mob? So that could you assign a spawner to a...
Yeah, so the NPC spawner that spawns those has an undefeated event, I believe it's called. Don't quote me exactly on that, but it's something in that realm. And so that event could connect to your quest and then increment your tracker to go that way. And so your quest could be, hey, you've got your sword and there's baddies in the marketplace guarding your hot dogs. You better defeat 10 baddies before you get your hot dogs. And then every one that was defeated, it would actually send that event back to the tracker. When it would hit 10, the quest would progress. So yes, it's really built in to be like an event-based system. So if the event is available, you should be able to tie and hook things in together with it, which is what makes it really fun. Okay, we're at the final moment. We've loaded in, wait for Questy to come in. There's our friend. Okay, don't hit Questy. All right, we'll talk to Questy. There's baddies in the market. We accept the quest. We jump through, we get our sword. We've seen this before. Quest completes. Now the question is, do we get studs? They did spawn, but looks like they had a little bit of a collection error. So I've set something up incorrectly, so we should look into what that is. But the spawn event fired. Yes. Yeah. All right. But instead of me trying to do stressful live troubleshooting, I'm going to check to see if the answer is what I think it is. And if it's not, I think we should move forward to any additional Q&A and take it from there. But yeah, so that's basically the idea of setting up and using the quest system, right? I would love to call out that this is just one of the things included in the action adventure template. There's a lot of stuff there to dissect. And one of the goals of our team and what we're doing is we want to build these things for the community, and then we want to hear how the community and all of you use them and what you would like and what things you would enjoy to use. And then we can look at how we can help implement that for you, right? And get those things built. We're a very community-focused team. We're always engaging in those areas. Like I said, we have the awesome UEFN Discord that we have our channels in, that we are in, talking to the community all the time, because making games is way more fun when it's collaborative. So that is pretty much the whole presentation. Are there any other questions, comments, concerns? I think I'm at a 5-minute warning. So we'll go there, and then right behind you. So you first. Yep. Yes, so all of these are custom verse devices. When we provide these types of custom verse devices, our motto is, hey, here you go, utilize them. If you want to change the code and modify it yourself, please do. Extend them, change them. These are templates, right? They're examples of how we're building things and what we're doing. If you want to use them as is, cool. If you would like to use them in a new creative way or change some things, please do. Yeah. Okay, I believe you were next.
So if I made something cool in
Yeah.
and I wanted to show it to my friend, would I have to make my friend play Fortnite for 30 days?
No, so they can play it immediately.
Okay, yeah.
So in order to publish it, you need to have that clearance to get into the IP program. But once you've published it, anybody can play it. So that's one of the beauties of this game, right? Is my first day at the Lego group, I was like, I really want to learn more about this ecosystem. And I jumped in, set up my Fortnite account for the first time, and I played Lego Islands for 3 hours. So anybody that sets up an account, downloads Fortnite, can immediately get access to these islands inside of Fortnite. Yeah. And then behind, yeah.
So, thank you for the presentation. And I would like to ask, this tutorial, guys, will it be like published somewhere or can we find it anywhere?
Yes. So I actually did this on a live stream with Epic on Tuesday. It was Tuesday night for me, Tuesday afternoon for them. So if you go to the Lego Fortnite channel, there's a stream called, I think it's called Creator Focus Trading with the Lego Group, something like that. It's the latest video, but this exact demo was actually done live on stream with them. So it's there, archived, and that's also part of what I am hoping to continue building is guides, and there's also a really, really great amount of documentation on dev.epicgames.com, where there's a documentation team. We're always working on releasing documentation step by step. So that one actually has a guide to setting up this part of the quest system as well, if text is your preferred method as well. Yeah. Okay. I see nobody throwing their hands up panicking, and I think that's my time. So thank you all so much. I hope you have a great Nordic Game Jam, and you should stay for the next talk because it's going to be really good.